I finally got a DC figure that isn't wearing black. Yay! Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch-up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes for my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I worked on Spider-Man 2099 and did a bit of cell shading on him. I also added those cybernetic details too. It turned out pretty awesome. I also attempted to make the Spider-Verse portal. It turned out okay, it's a bit small. Check them out if you haven't already. Today, I'm gonna work on The Flash. Not an MCU figure. Okay, I know this is The Flash from the Justice League. I did see the new Flash figures, but I have to say, I don't love the designs. I think this is because this one just looks so much cooler. I love this design. The suit looks practical, and you can tell why it was designed this way. It's like the Iron Man Mark III suit. This suit just makes sense. Let's deconstruct this figure. There's an FAQ on the paint and brushes I use in the description box below. I actually got this figure a while back. The Speed Force version is pretty cool too. I love what they did to the back of that figure. But I picked up the regular version instead because I feel like the Speed Force version wouldn't make sense if it's not in the running pose. The blue glow would also hinder the way I would customize it. This version is pretty good too. The red is a bit on the dull side and is missing the silver details. They gave him this soft plastic piece around the waist. It is interesting. It does a pretty good job of hiding the hip joints, but the right side of it is warped due to the way it was packaged. Oh, and not sure if this is just my figure, but the back side of the head is also warped in a weird way. Strange. Overall, this figure just needs a bit more depth. There are so many different layers of armor plates on the suit. It's gonna look so much better once the suit is more defined. So, can I make it? This figure is quite rubbery, so I don't think I need to sand it. First, let me go over the entire figure with the red. The red on the figure is a bit on the orange side. It kinda reminds me of that specific Hasbro red they were using for a while. The red I'm using is a bit more cool toned, but the main reason why I'm painting over the red is because I want to add a thin layer of paint over the figure. I just find that it makes the next few layers of paint apply easier. I'm gonna add more shading to the suit later to define the individual pieces. It is easier to blend out the colors when it's paint on paint in my opinion. And if I do make a mistake, I can patch it up with the red again. I also rubbed a bit of the red onto the abs. I believe they're slightly red in the movie. With the base layer done, it is time to darken the crevices and lines to separate the various panels. I've used this blue on other red figures before, like on my Marvel Select Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That might have been a knockoff. The end result was surprisingly good though. This blue is pretty muted, so when I apply it over red, it will darken and cool down the red in a very natural manner. It looks a bit blue. Maybe the color will dull down even more once it's fully dried. Let me continue going over all the lines and crevices. Okay, it's not working this time. It's kinda giving me Power Rangers vibe. Not the look I'm going for. I can either remove the paint or patch it up with the red again. Or fix it with color theory. When I first learned how to paint, one of the first things I was taught was that I didn't need to own any black paint because I could mix my own version of black. And I didn't listen. Like, why wouldn't I just get black paint? It's so convenient. But now that I'm painting figures, I realized that black is not the color to use as a shading color. It's also not that great at deepening colors as well. It kinda muddies the color, especially at this scale where things can easily look exaggerated. Here I'm applying the brown over the blue. It kinda doesn't make sense, but watch. The brown is gonna neutralize the blue, and a combination of the two colors will end up looking very natural on the red. Look at that. It no longer looks jarring. So let me continue using these two colors to darken and define the suit more. I should have premixed the blue and the brown, but I didn't. So I'm gonna have to apply one over the other. It's not that bad. Okay, here's what the figure looks like with all the crevices filled in. It already looks 10 times better. But I'm not done yet. I'm now going to use the purple as my shading color. I alternate between blue and purple. It depends on my mood. Okay, maybe not. This is my logic. If I'm going for a deeper, colder shading color, I'll use blue. But if I'm going for a more natural reddish shading color, I'll use purple. In this case, I just want to darken certain parts of the suit to add some separation, bringing down the brightness just a notch. When we look at colors and tones, we perceive darker colors to be further back or deeper. This is what I'm trying to achieve here with the purple. I want to visually push the texture red areas back a bit, so the smoother red sections can stick out more. Okay, I know what you're thinking. The purple is too vibrant, it's not the right shade. And I don't disagree here. Except, this purple dulls down quite a bit when it's fully dried. It may look strange now, but it should look right once it's dried. You can kinda see it happening on the arms already. The purple hue is pretty much gone. Those areas are now just deeper shades of red. Let me add a bit of shading to the mask too, so everything looks more balanced. Alright, time to get rid of that rubbery look. In the movie, the outermost layer of the suit appears to be made out of this really hard metal-like material. So I'm going to apply a thin layer of glossy varnish over these smooth armor pieces. I'm going to leave the texture areas matte to differentiate the different textures. Ah, I can see it transforming in front of my eyes. This is going to look so good. The varnish has dried. I love that it also added weight to the figure. The suit looks so much more tactical and believable now. All there's left are the silver threads that's holding the suit together. This is going to be the most challenging part of this custom. Metallic paint isn't the easiest to clean up. I can wipe regular paint off with a wet brush, but metallic paint has these fine specks that spread around the surface when wet. Painting over them is an option, but it's best not to make mistakes to begin with. Just gotta concentrate and not sneeze. I really like this design element of the suit. The silver threads adds to the character and backstory, that you can see the thought process behind it. The suit needed something to tie and hold everything together. There are also these silver ribbons all over the suit. I'm gonna have to do them off screen. Hiya! There we go. All there's left is the face. Berry is more on the pale side, so I'm just gonna brighten the skin tone slightly. Not much, just a bit. Here's the finished figure. It's like a completely different figure now. I thought the original was already pretty decent, but the added details make this before look so unfinished. I don't say this often, but this looks like a mini Hot Toys figure now. It's kinda crazy how good it looks. I knew it was gonna look better, but I wasn't expecting it at this level. What do you think? Do you like what I've done? Let me know down below. I love the design of this suit so much. It was my favorite design from the Justice League, and I like this way more than the new suits. I personally love it when a suit has various textures. This suit is made out of 3 different materials. The darker texture underlayer allows Barry to move and run. Then, there are these softer red pieces around the joints or areas that bend. And finally, a hard protective layer on areas that are the most vulnerable. A very well thought out design. Another thing that I really like about this figure is how clicky the joints are. I find that my other DC McFarlane figures generally have very limited range of motion, so I wasn't expecting much. But I have to say, this figure is relatively easy to pose. And best of all, he can kinda stand on his own in the running pose. And like the other DC figures, it also comes with a base for extra stability. This is now my favorite DC McFarlane figure. Okay, I only have 4 so far, but it is a nice little collection. Alright, photoshoot time. This figure is a beauty. It's just so pleasant to look at. I think it's because the joints are very well concealed. Sometimes, figures end up looking very toy-like due to the joints being made a certain way. But this Flash figure doesn't have that issue. The joints never break the illusion. I don't love how the diaper thing feels in hand, but I gotta admit, in photos and videos, it blends right in and hides the hip joints. So kudos again to the designer. Great touch. I can't do a photo shoot with Flash without him running. These running photos are so convincing, especially when it's up close. You can almost feel the kinetic energy in these poses. I cannot express how impressed I am with these photos. They look so natural. Alright, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give it a like and subscribe to see more content like this. And as always, stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.